This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's Sweetheart, Davian.
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy James.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
This is the Moondog Greg Murray, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the website, the trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube. Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee for the last 5 years. I am, of course, your host, James J., and it is a great day for wrestling because we are wrestling with Moondog Greg Murray.
What's up, y'all?
How are you, Greg?
I'm doing all right. I'm breathing still, so almost, as we're recording this, almost done with 2023. Starting a new year up ahead of us.
That indeed. And where is the Moondog going next, event-wise?
Event-wise, let me pull up my calendar here. So far, January 6th, I'll be in Missouri for Pro Wrestling Epic. January 13th, up in Cadillac, Michigan for UWE. Back home in Chicago for Chicago Style Wrestling on Friday the 19th. And then T-Wood at Wooddale, Illinois for POW on the 27th. There's going to be a couple promotions I'm going to hit up, visit, help with ring crew, and see if I can get on. So hopefully it'll be a surprise appearance or two in the month of January.
Oh, yeah. And where can we find all things Moondog on social media and your merchandise?
Oh, yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Moondog Murray, Instagram and Facebook, Moondog Greg Murray. I got a Brainbuster Tee store, so please, by all means, buy a shirt. Got a couple designs up there.
Okay. And you don't have to go looking for it. All of the links to all his social media will be in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox. Alright, let's get into it. You work for Chicago Style Wrestling and POW. Can you tell us about your relationship with those companies?
Well, CSW was the place that kind of took me in because when I first started wrestling, I was training under another outfit in Woodstock, and then when I made my debut for them, I think I wrestled for them for about 8 months before opting to jump to Chicago Style Wrestling in Franklin Park and River Grove, which is where the school is. So I've been training with them since. Actually I want to say like 2.5 years by now, almost 3 years. My wrestling anniversary is, I want to say January 24th. I'd have to look at my calendar again. But
happy wrestling birthday.
Yeah, we're almost 3 years in, and with what we've been able to accomplish so far is crazy. But so Chicago Style Wrestling's been one of the top Chicago promotions for sure. POW is pretty much my second home. The styles are different, obviously. So, like, POW is more family-friendly, is more, the pretty, I'm trying to think of the word you can say. I guess, like, old-school-centric in a way. But it's entertaining, it's fun when you get to see, like, the killer matches between, like, Keziel and Mason Perks and such. But, like, you can also get, like, the fun storytelling from everybody else. And Chicago Style Wrestling, they bring in the names, like I remember Blake Christensen came in sometime last year, faced for Marche Rocket. A lot of the NWA, a lot of the Chicago people that are on NWA are at CSW, like Missa Kate, Cody James, Marche Rocket, like I said. Every now and again I run into Koa. And but yeah, they've both been pretty much my homes, Chicago, CSW being the place I train at. POW usually runs 1 to 3 times a month sometimes, so like I get to do more POW shows. And then the Cadillac, Michigan promotion, UWE, has a lot of the POW roster. So like I see these people regularly, and it's pretty much becoming a second family in a way.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but not too long ago, you actually got fired from Chicago Style Wrestling.
Yes, I did. I got fired by TJ Steele. Unfortunately for him, that hasn't stopped me though. So I made my fun run in at the last show of the year, and you guys heard me advertise the January date, so I'll definitely be there and see if I can cause a little more havoc for TJ Steele, make his life miserable till I get reinstated full time, and then I'll stop messing with the show. But till then, I'm going to just do what I want and see where it goes. You know, whether it's me in a jail cell or me reinstated, one of the two.
Well, you haven't been in a jail cell as of my research, but you did get put in a trunk of a car and abducted.
Yeah. that was the False Count Anywhere with me and Chris Miller. Started out, I think I'd have to pull up my match notebook, but we'd have to, because I write down all my matches. I want to say we were match 3 or match 2, and then it ended with me getting thrown in the back of a car, and then probably a half hour later, a few matches go by, and then we swing back, and this time it's me driving the car and bringing Miller back in. The only downside was the actual footage. The cameras weren't able to get to that car in time. There's a lot of hindsight with that whole deal. A lot of if one of those woulda, coulda, shouldas of how we could have filmed it better, or how we could have wrestled it better. But that whole show was a little off the rails in a way, behind the scenes wise. But that one, unfortunately, the camera missed me coming in with the car. But there's the fan cam footage of it on my social media, thankfully, that survived. But other than that, yeah, that match, I anytime I wrestle Chris Miller, I leave better. He's been wrestling for 11 years, and he's ridiculously good. I think people see a guy like Chris Miller and don't think much of him, and that's a shame because Chris Miller is really good. He's really good. But, yeah, Chris Miller will always be one of my favorite opponents for sure.
Now, switching back to POW, you obviously POW is one of the independents that has a longer lineage than most other independents.
Yes.
And you was the POW champion.
Yeah.
What did it mean to you to be the POW champion, especially considering that was your first ever title?
It meant a lot because, like you said, the POW traces back good 25, 30 years if you include PCW and CCW and all that lineage into what becomes POW in 2003, I believe, 2004. So to represent that, the longest running independent in Chicago was amazing, and for that to be my first championship, because I figured my first title would be a tag title, or a little up and coming independent promotion that would make me a champion of theirs. But no, it was POW, and for it to be POW was perfect. I'm so glad it was that. And for a 3-month run, I think I had 6 defenses. So, and all those matches, none of them were bad. So, there's ones I like more than the others, but for it to be my first title run, I'm super happy with it. And the only changes I'd make are just little nitpicks and tweaks. But if that's all it is, shoot, I'll take it.
Well, 2023 was quite the year for you, obviously. Yeah. Last year, 2022, you were on the QWI 200 list. You were 159. This year, last year, you were 80. So, what does that kind of mean to you to take such a drastic, first of all, being on the list and then making such a drastic jump?
Well, when I was following the list, because it was like posted over a week, so like they'd post the first half, the next half, the other half. I was reading the little synopsis in the beginning, and they explained how they had almost 600 names, and they had to whittle it down to 200. And again, like the fact, I could be hard on myself sometimes, and the fact that I'm able to be that far into the list blew my mind, because like I was seeing it, because all I kept seeing was KWI debut, because they would put like people's first time on the list, and I'm going past everybody. I was like, I think I think I might not have made this year. I was like, all right, well, I could always make next year, because like I know I got a bunch of stuff planned out for 2024. And then the list, I want to say day 3 or day 4, there I was, number 80. And I was like, number 80? It's like, I was above, like, people who are on TV every week. I was above Joey Mayberry, who I think is, like, not only the best LGBT wrestler in the Chicago scene, but, like, one of the best wrestlers in the Chicago scene. And, like, thankfully for Joey, too, he's going around, bouncing around other areas like Florida and such. So, like, I'm glad to see him expanding and getting his name out there, because, like, that's a guy anybody who has a roster would just benefit from, because Joey Mayberry is amazing. But just, again, to be number 80, just, wow. That's like, so, yeah, like I said, I figured, like, all right, I'll make next year's list, and then all of a sudden, that day popped up. I was like, all right, I'm number 80, and blew my mind. And then the little synopsis, of course, about it, explaining like, oh yeah, he's done this, he does this. I was like, yeah, I guess it is a lot. And then I guess when you take into the effect of like what I've been doing since then, because like I remember the first QWI I made, I think it was like number 192.
159.
The fact I was no, not that one, the one before.
Okay.
The first time, 2021, I want to say. I didn't even think I'd be on that list at all, because I think I had just left the place in Woodstock in August, and that list came out in December, and that I was barely on any indies at that point. So to be on that list blew my mind at the time. So then, like, to see it keep going up and up and up this list, I'm like, well, okay then. It's crazy. And it just goes to show, like, I gotta quit being so hard on myself, because, like, obviously, there's this acknowledgement. There's the fact that I'm also one half of the All Heel Wrestling Tag Champs with Joey Mayberry. Funny enough, it's like, because like there's I think every wrestler has that doubt, and if they say they don't, they're lying to you. But like they have that doubt, like, am I doing enough? What am I gonna do? Like, it's like, is this for me? And then like a big event happens, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is definitely what I was meant to do." That sort of deal, and that was definitely one of those moments where, like, okay, yeah, don't give up just yet. yeah, that's a pretty big deal,
Considering that you keep progressing, each year, further down the list. Is there like a number that you maybe have your eye on for 2024?
If I can make the top 50, cool. But at the same time, again, I didn't think I'd make it this far down the list. So, like, not that it's unattainable, but it's just like, to even think that I could do it, I'm just like, I don't know, it's just weird. It's like, confidence is a brand new thing for me. Like, I didn't get confidence till really when I got into wrestling, which is funny because, like, wrestling has destroyed a lot of people's confidence, unfortunately. But for me, though, it's given me meaning in a way, and I'm very thankful for it, because it's, they say wrestling doesn't love you, but it's like, yeah, wrestling's been pretty cool with me. It's like that dad or that trainer or that boss, or like, it just doesn't seem you can't please it, but when you do please them, they acknowledge you, and it's like, oh, okay, cool, I did it. Well, I'm gonna try that again, But yeah, I wouldn't say there's a number I'm looking for, but I would love to keep going up and up and up, and see how far I could go.
Oh yeah. Well, keeping on, accolades and awards. You won the POW Most Inspirational, which is actually voted by your peers, the other wrestlers.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be on, a journalist list or a fan list, but to be, voted by your peers. What does that kind of mean to you?
Again, it goes back to what I said earlier about like POW is just pretty much becoming like a damn near a second family, because like I think those guys are like looking at me, and they're looking at the dude that they met in Rockford for Damage Inc. And from the guy I was then to what I am now, I think they, for them to be able to be like, okay, and there's every show has ego. There's always going to be ego in the locker room, because like you need to have an ego, a little bit of an ego in wrestling, but like a lot to have people kind of like look past their own personal ego and be like, you know what, that guy, and acknowledge me is amazing. Because like I remember the year before I was nominated for a couple awards and I didn't get any, but like again, the fact that I was nominated, I was like, oh, okay, cool, there's a couple of people that believe in me. And then to get the most inspirational, like that's a pretty big deal to me, especially for that kind of award. Like, and it's because like that's all I want to be, is an inspiration to somebody out there. Like, and to have like going back to the LGBT thing, to have like young, questioning fans or people who are unsure of themselves, people who aren't out of the closet, come up to me and say, "Hey, I appreciate what you do." It's like me. It's like me. Oh yeah, I do. All I do is try. That's all I can do. I know there's that whole thing like, do it, don't try it. I obviously do it, but like at my core, it's like, I'm gonna give it a whirl. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I don't go into anything expecting a total success. I go in to just see what would happen. And thankfully for me, a lot of that stuff has been successful. And even the slight failures, I kind of can learn from it and go, okay, well, I'll try it this way and then see if that works. And then either works or, okay, I'll try it again, but this way, or just scrap it all together. Like, all right, that didn't work. When I was the dog-faced bastard for 9 months, DFB, I tried. I just wanted to change. I wanted to change. I didn't want to be Moondog anymore, but like when you have fans, wrestlers, promoters, promotions still calling you Moondog and still, chanting it, still billing you as it is, just, I gave it a whirl. I tried it and it didn't work, but that's okay. I sold a good handful of terry shirts still, so it wasn't a total flop, but I would say it was a flop. But I'm not like upset about it, because like all it was okay, I made a post that said, as of today, we're no longer the DFB, we are just Moondog. We're Moondog again, full time. And it got and all it was like, all right, cool. Or, I had a few friends actually come up to me and go, I hated that name. I really did. Like, I'm so glad I'm so glad you finally see it. I'm like, I just couldn't help but laugh. Like, well, I'm glad you guys are supportive and kept it to yourself. At the same time, you could have told me. But, I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, I tried it. It didn't work. But, like, there was no real consequence to it not working. It was just, okay, we're going back. I still got Moondog shirts. I still got this. So just call me Moondog. That's it. That's all it was. It was just a name change. Or changing back to a name.
I don't think it didn't necessarily work. I would say that it's not how people wanted to see you. And that is, the biggest compliment any fans can give you, is saying,
No.
This is okay, but like, I want my Moondog.
Pretty much, yeah. That's pretty much what it was. Like and it wasn't just fans either. It's wrestlers, it's promoters. I think when Second Wrestling billed me as Moondog, I was like, all right, that's it. Because I was like, that's it. That to me was the killing blow to it. Because like in the deciding factor. And I remember too, Rabbi Jeremy hit me up because the promoter, he goes, "Oh man, I hope I didn't upset you." I was like, "No." I was like, that to me, and he explained why he went with the Moondog name. I was like, that's perfect. Like, that's even more reason to go with Moondog, But I remember he was like, "Oh no," but it's like, "No, everything's cool, dude." It was just an eye-opening thing. I was like, you know what? All right, we can still be a Moondog. I think it's just a case of like, there's a couple Moondogs on the Indies. The Moondogs was a gimmick from the '80s, late '70s, '80s, and it was my first gimmick. I was like legit old school Moondog, blue jeans and everything. But, you know, as time goes by, I kept evolving the look. Now it went from caveman to flannel hippie. You know, like cool flannel hippie, which people dig it. You know, a lot of people dig it, and like even some vets who know like old school Moondog will see me like, oh, okay, that's neat. It's his own take on it, you know. And then there's some who be like, you ever seen the actual Moondogs? Like, of course. And then they're like, oh, should wrestle more like them. I was like, I mean, I could, but. No, I mean, well, like the intensity from the original Moondogs is what I want for sure. The intensity of them and like the brawling, those are the two major things I take from them. And then the aesthetic, and then somewhat the aesthetic too. But that's about it. You know, I think more charisma-wise, like Moondog Maine, who was the original Moondog and talked, by the way, because like that was also another bone of contention, no pun intended, was the fact that I talk. But I always bring up like, hey, there's a guy named Moondog Maine who started that gimmick, and he talked, and he was actually a really good promo. So, but of course, he never. I think he died before he could like get on to like, you know, the boom of the '80s. So like people know Spot and Rex more than they know Maine. But I always point to Maine. Like, look, that dude is like. That dude was a star, you know. He main evented in Houston. He had a feud with Roddy Piper in Portland, you know. Like, just like he wasn't no slouch. He was just a vet, you know. And he just, you know, he died before he could get bigger. Which I think I do wonder if he didn't die if he would have got bigger. But you know,
Right.
Never know.
You mentioned Moondog being your first gimmick. I was under the assumption that it was your second because you did work under a mask in your first couple of matches, no?
I did. They were just random mask gimmicks. There was no like set gimmick. It was an old. The first place I trained at, it was one of those deals where like, well, we want to get you on shows, but we don't want to expose you just yet. We don't want the people to know who you are just yet, so we'll throw you under a mask. And they are probably, that whole first year is probably, that whole 2021 year is probably the worst wrestling I've ever done. But again, I was new. I had no idea what I was doing.
Exactly.
So
It's supposed to be that way.
obviously. But I just can't bring myself to go back and watch any of those matches. They're bad. They're just terrible. But you know, again, it goes to show how much we've improved. But yeah, that was, they threw me under a mask for a handful of matches. But that was about it. You know, there's no like major, like there's no like big story. There's no this or that. It was just a gimmick that they would put on a guy who they were about to debut, just to give him some reps. Or, you know, sometimes if they needed a second match or a third match out of you, they throw the mask on you, which, again, one of the worst matches of my career happened while I was under one of those masks. And God, it just goes to show. I'm so glad that I had the foresight to get out of that first place, because there was people who stayed there for years and just either they didn't have the courage to bust out of there, or they just didn't know any better. But it took me 8 months of wrestling for the dude to realize, you know, this ain't it. You know, let's try other places, and if that doesn't work, all right, we gave wrestling a try. And we've been here ever since. So I'd say it's worked out, and there's been plenty of people who have left there that I would say it's worked out, you know, for them as well.
Right. All right. You talked a little bit about them so far, but can you tell us about your tag team partner, Joey Mayberry?
He's literally one of the most entertaining wrestlers you could ever watch, you know. And I remember when I first met him, he was like one of the nicest guys. And then it's funny because, like, again, you see his character and like how over the top he is. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then there was a practice or two at CSW where I found out he's actually a badass. Like, if anybody was like, "What's a surprising fact about Joey Mayberry?" Is that he could mess somebody up. I think if he wanted to. But like again, he's one of those guys who are so laid back that you'd have to whittle him down, or attack him, hit first, because like I don't think bringing that side out of Joey is possible. Like honestly, you got to really do that. But when he's in the ring, like I'm sure, like when he's in the ring and someone throws a wild, which I mean, me and Joey have beat each other up in the matches, so like we'll lay into each other sometimes. But again, like by the end of it, like you good, yeah, we're good. So and we have fun. He's one of my favorite opponents. I think I've wrestled him the most out of everybody, according to my match notebook. Because if you include Royals, multi-way matches, multi-tag matches where we're on opposing sides, and then the singles matches, I think we've wrestled 20 times. And I think the closest second might be Mateo. I think third might be Eric Schultz. But for sure, like I think me and Joey have wrestled more than 20 times, and for a guy, and it's become a question I ask a lot of wrestlers, like, who have you wrestled the most? Because like every time you ask that question, they kind of halt. They're like, huh, and then they stop and think, and it makes for a fun conversation. But yeah, like Joey's amazing. Like entertaining wise, he can wrestle. He knows how to do amateur. He knows how to chain. He knows how to just do gaga and do nothing, but still make it work and still make it entertaining. He's an all-arounder, and I don't think he gets enough credit for being an all-arounder. And then of course the recent viral match he had with Doom Montgomery, it was like a hardcore match where like he stuck the bat up his butt, and the clip went viral, and oh my god, all the people on Twitter calling out Joey Mayberry is hilarious, and Joey's just like laughing hysterically the whole time. Like I think he even said, he goes, "I love this. It's attention. I like attention." It's like, I mean, it's like, it's not one. He didn't do anything that's a cancelable offense. He just did a spot in the match that some people didn't like. But if you were in the building, the place went insane. Like the roof almost blew off when he did it. Like, because like they were just. I don't think that crowd was expecting it, and B, that crowd adores us, the CSW crowd. Like they love the homegrown CSW people. Like they boo the Black and Brave guys, which of course is the point because they're the big baddies. But like the fact that like Doom can wrestle Colt Cabana and Doom gets more of a reaction is crazy. Like it was like, because like Colt Cabana is a big name, big star in Chicago, but like. The fact that the fans were like, Doom, and Doom's the bad guy, too. That was the funniest part, too. They were still, like, going for Doom. And I remember me and a couple wrestlers were watching the match, and the promoter's right there, and I just looked over, and I was like, well, I mean, they love Doom. He goes, yeah, good point, But, yeah, wrestling's fun like that, and that's what I love about the CSW crowd, too, is, like, when you're in with that crowd,
Well, what's a pet peeve about Joey that you just don't understand?
I don't have a pet peeve with Joey, actually. And character, yeah, he's loud, he's annoying, but that's not the other. Of course, I could come up with a million of them. But, like, IRL, I don't have a pet peeve with Joey. Anytime I'm around Joey, like, he says something that makes me laugh. I could be miserable, and I could be miserable for some reason, and he just say something dumb and I'm just laughing hysterically, or like I'll say something dumb to him and he's laughing hysterically. He's genuinely one of my like really good friends from wrestling.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You do take exception to him taking the low road sometimes when it comes to your tag matches.
Oh, absolutely. Like how we won the titles. Not my favorite way to win championships. And Country Air's pretty peeved at us. But, yeah. And, like I said, him and I have wrestled multiple times. He's not afraid to play dirty either. So, when it comes to the in-ring stuff, oh, yeah. I can name a handful of pet peeves. But outside of wrestling, no. Which is rare because there's always something you don't like about somebody, even if they're, like, you're super close with, or there's something that annoys you about them. But No, I don't have that with Joey.
Okay. Now, you were backstage for the NWA. Can you tell us about that experience?
Yeah, I got to. I was an extra. I got to help out the last 2 tapings. I wasn't able to do the whole weekend, which I found out if you do the whole weekend, you get paid. Oh well, I mean, whatever. So, I was there first time was just to help with like camera cable, grab the stuff, running downstairs. Second time, I got to run tickets, run the door, and help run merch with everybody else. So, which I love Jimmy Blayze pointed out, goes, they trust you with money. That's a big deal. I was like, yeah, that's a good point. I remember too, I was so nervous because like I was worried I was like miscounting or miscalculating. So I remember I had $5 in my pocket, so I threw $5 in there because I was like, I rather they be over than under when they do the math. So I was so nervous because like if it came up short, that's it for my career. That's the dude that stole $2 without realizing it. No. So I was making sure. I was like, no, I'm doing the best I can do at this job. So, I know I love because again Cody James is there. So like Cody will like give me tidbits about like I was like, hey, there's a show running here. There's a show running here. If you could make it, please come on up to help. Pretty much to help out because. If I can do it, I can do it. Usually it's just easier when it's in Chicago because, like, especially on Sundays, too, because, like, I know they do tapings on Sundays, and I'll get a Sunday off. I can get a Sunday off. Meanwhile, I'm booked on a Saturday because, like, I remember the last set, I helped out on Friday. I helped set the ring up on Friday at a different venue, and then Saturday I was booked somewhere else. And then they tore down the ring from that venue and hauled it over to the TV studio. The studio, can't remember the name, but and then pretty much I was there, helped with the door, helped with tear down. And it was a nice experience. And Tom Latimer was there. Tom Latimer met him in Rockford, and I'll talk to him. And I remember he gave us really good advice. He said. When it comes to like major shows, there's going to be times where what you did might have pleased one person, but it might upset another person. Sometimes you can't avoid heat. Right. I took that as sometimes you can't avoid heat. Don't let it get to you. Just keep doing your best. That's how I interpreted it. As long as somebody's happy, I mean, what can you do? I mean, what can you? Yeah, but I love to get a tryout there. I'd love to get a tryout anywhere, to be honest. I definitely want to see if I can help out at Impact next time they're in town, too.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, it's fingers crossed. Maybe I can get a tryout next year or sometime in the next few years. But, we'll never know. You never know what could happen.
And maybe you could actually get paid this time instead of paying them.
Honestly, it don't matter. Yeah, I pay them $5, right? If I get paid, cool. If I don't, cool. I got to get a tryout, And I know there's gonna be vets that are gonna yell at me about that. Goes, no, I gotta be business savvy. I'm like, I understand, but you know what? This is a passion. Like, I wouldn't be driving all this way just if it was just for the money,
Right. That being said, you actually did pick up Austin Idol from the airport, no?
Yeah, that was awesome. He was asking me more questions than I was asking him. I was. Let me rephrase that. I did ask him questions. Like I asked him about Memphis and this, that, and the other. But he was like, I could tell he was trying to get to know me, and we were having a really good conversation. And I love that I was able to help him out, get him to the building. And I remember that was Joe Galley comes up to me and goes, "Can you pick up Austin Idol from the airport?" And I remember like. Austin Idol. I'm like, yeah. And he goes, that is right. I was like, yes, I did, of course. And he goes, hey, man, some people don't. I'm like, that's crazy to me because, yeah, of course, let me pick up Austin Idol. And he was pretty easy to spot. Not many people look like Austin Idol. But yeah, I got to pick him up, and we got to have that conversation, got out of the building safe. And I remember, too, because he's like, what's your finish, kid? And I'm like, top rope knee drop. He goes, top rope knee drop. I go, yeah. He goes, goes, "That's a hell of a finish, kid." I'm like, "Yeah." And then we get out of the car, and I ask him, "Do you want me to carry your bag?" He goes, "Absolutely not." I'm like, "Okay, sorry." And he goes, "Your finish is a knee drop off the top, right?" I said, "Yes." He asked that again. I was like, "That's a hell of a finish." I was like, "All right, well, I'm never changing that finish." So, unless my knees tell me to change the finish. But for now, no, that was an amazing experience. And if you ever get that chance to pick up somebody, go for it. Because, like, especially if they're cool and they're talkative, oh, my God, it's worth it. You know?
No, speaking of big shows you've been on, you booked Effy's Big Gay Brunch.
Yes.
You know, not just a show that, you know, a lot of people get on. What was that experience like? Especially the last time, the 8-man tag you were in.
Yeah. First time I was there to Mateo and Joey booked in a gauntlet, and I was just there to help out. And I said, saw Effy, ran up to Effy, and I said, "Hi, my name's Greg, here to help out with whatever you need." And first question, "You got your gear?" "Yeah." "Okay, I might use you tonight." I'm like, "All right, cool. I'm going to go help with chairs now." And sure enough, he said, "All right, you're going to be in the scramble match." I was like, "All right, sounds good. Sounds good to me." And I remember, too, I was like, I think at that point, like, my moveset, like, I still got a pretty basic moveset, but it was basic by that point, too. I'm like, "Oh, what do I do?" So, but, like, everybody in that scramble was cool as hell. They're like, I even told them, because, guys, I can't lie, I'm a little limited. And they're like, "No worries, we'll figure it out." I'm like, "All right." Speedball Mike Bailey was there. He wasn't the agent, but he was giving us advice. He goes, "What if you," and he, like, kind of structured it, because, like, "What if you did it this way, this way, this way?" And they're like, "Okay, cool." Come back, and goes, "Hey, and what'd you think?" And Mike was like, "That's great. That was good. You know, good shit, guys." And then this last year, Effy hit me up. I think, of course, he hit everybody up, but he hit me up and said, "Hey, you wanna hit you?" I think actually I hit him up first. I go, "Hey, can I help with ring crew?" He goes, "Sure. Let me get back to you. Just be patient about that." I'm like, "All right, sounds good." Then he said, "Hey, you wanna be on the show?" I was like, "Oh, absolutely." It was Team Chicago versus Team Midwest, Team East Coast, which is pretty much Chicago versus New York.
Right.
CSW versus T2T. You know, that match was so wild. And I remember it took all four, like all 8 of us, you know, different personalities, but like I remember when it was, we were halfway through, and I'm like looking up at just the craziness of the action, because like I'm not often in 8-man tag matches, so like when we were first done, when we finished, I was like, oh man, I was thinking about my performance, like did I blow it, this, that, and the other, because like there was a spot or two that got fumbled, but it's like, again, we kept going. It wasn't the end of the world, but I remember watching it back and then hearing a couple reviews of the show, and they're like, "Yeah, it was a crazy." It was like, "Yeah, it was your standard crazy 8-man tag," and I was like, "Okay." And then I watched it a few more times, and I was like, "Yeah, you know what? For a crazy 8-man tag, it did what it needed to do, I would say." And you know, one of the cooler things is when I debuted when I had my first Skate Brunch show, the Bombshell was a fan in the crowd, and there's video of her reaction to me coming out because she didn't know I was on the card. So then a year later, she's teaming with me, and I love it because like I did a little clip of it where like shows her screaming, and then the next clip is of me and Joey gorilla pressing her over our heads and throwing her. And I always laugh looking at the clip because we just chucked her. I don't know why. Just seeing her tiny body just getting used as a weapon is hilarious. But you know, made memories. As probably still. I think both of those were so far still the biggest shows I've been on. I've helped out at other shows too that are, if not just as big, you know, almost as big. But like to actually wrestle on it. That's probably two of the biggest shows I've been on, are those gay brunch shows.
Was that the only time you've actually been in the ring with Shelly?
No, there was a Lucha Libre Total show. It was me. I think it was me and Mateo Valentine versus her and Joey Mayberry. So, I remember at the time we did this. In the match we did a thing where like I was afraid of wrestling her because I didn't want to wrestle a girl. I was afraid of wrestling a girl. I didn't want to hurt her. That sort of deal. Looking back, I wish I did now because Shelly, like, you know, we talked about how like everything I was able to accomplish. Shelly's doing that in half the time. Shelly, I think, you know, I hope there's a time we get to work, but like we're at the point where she's like way above, you know, pecking order. So like the odds of us wrestling again might be pretty slim. You know, we got to do segments together, like the one we did with Capri, where Hades came out and smashed the picture over my head. That's about it. And then teaming at Gay Brunch. So, like, unless we wrestle again, I think that's going to be one of my biggest, maybe not regret, but kind of a kick in my own butt, where I'm like, I wish we did more. But I think that was one of those deals, because like at the time we were happy with it, and for the longest time we were happy with it. It's only recent months where I'm thinking back to, I'm like, man, now I wish I did more. Because I remember even Vic Capri was like, I like when he watched it, he was like kind of upset. He goes, I wanted to see you two go at it for a little bit. I was like, well, and I explained the story. He goes, well, that's great, but I still wanted to see you guys go at it. Because I was excited for that. I was like, man, but you know, it is what it is. I'm sure something. I hope something comes down the road where her and I get to work. But you know, if it doesn't, whatever. You know.
Well, I do feel like there is, you know, call for, you know, a singles match between the two of you. With, you know, obviously the Alundra Blayze action figure on the line. You know.
Oh my God! Yes, yeah. I think that'd be pretty good basis for the match. I can't wait to get off and texture that. Oh my God. Yes, I honestly, and JWA would be perfect because that's where the incident happened. It said at Janesville Wrestling Alliance show. That's where it all came down. I was at the stand because the gimmick is they have a little toy convention, which now all it is just pretty much toy stands. Like it used to be bigger, but they sold most of the stuff. So now it's just usually one or two vendors with some figures. So I went over one day. I remember she was having a rough day because like it was cold, her joints were hurting or whatever. So I grabbed that Elite Alundra Blayze, a Hasbro Macho Man, and a Hasbro Roddy Piper. So I run up to her with Alundra in one hand and the two Hasbros in the other. And I presented the Hasbros. And I said, which one do you want? But she looked right past them and saw the Alundra in my other hand. She goes, I want Alundra. I'm like, no, you have to pick these two. And she's like, she gave me this most pouty face. She just rips Macho out of my hand, and I run off. And Nick Colucci, I think his name is, he goes, well, he did have that Alundra in his other hand. So he was taking her side on that. But so every now and again, Shelly would text me about that figure, and she's right in my glass case next to Cowboy Bob and a variety of other wrestlers. But like, yeah, it's funny because like it's one of those subjects that always makes her and I just laugh.
Okay, so Alundra Blayze action figure on the pole match coming up.
Absolutely,
bro. Put it on a pole. It's gonna be great.
I think this is the one time that's true. I think so.
Going back to, the Big Gay Brunch match,
Yeah.
he was in there with, a well-respected name on the independents, Logan Black.
Yes.
Can you tell us about, mixing it up with, obviously, a well-respected name like Logan?
I don't think anybody's going to see a Logan Black match and say it's fake because he throws bombs.
Yes.
And I love it. I really appreciate all of them threw it. Like there was a forearm from, I want to say it was Angelo, where it rocked me. And we're like, oh, I wasn't ready for it, but it was one of those like wake up calls. We're like, okay, I got to throw it back. Sounds good. But yeah, I was excited when I saw I was wrestling Logan because I had followed Logan on Twitter for a few years, and I remember I actually met him and I didn't realize it. It was at this Berwyn Eagles Club show, and it was him and Sazzy Boatwright. I remember Sazzy because but then I remember too the entire show. The entire show at that Berwyn Eagles Club, I was like staring at Logan. Because it's like, I know who this guy is. I know who this person is, but I couldn't for the life of me. Then I think a tweet popped up of Logan's, and I was like, oh my god! And I DM'd Logan. I was like, now I recognize you. I was staring at you at that show, and he laughed and goes, no worries. So then to actually get to wrestle, it was awesome. Great guy. Sazzy was awesome. Angelo was great. Quasi was hilarious. Like Quasi did Quasi had just this energy about them, and he did there's the kid from Wild Thornberries, the wild kid. He did that noise, that noise. It was perfect. Like it was almost like we heard the actual voice actor. And we were all just stopped and looked at him. We're like, holy crap. But entertaining people, I'd love to wrestle all of them again. I'd love to go up to New York and wrestle them on their turf because I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. All right. And there's no action figure that you would have a one-on-one match against Logan for, right?
No, not that I know of.
Okay. I think it's a great time for that segment once again. Moondog's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
There's two. I've already told this one, but it's too good not to tell again. I get a call or a text from Master Marauder and Spicoli, Austin Spicoli. Spicoli is a commentator for POW. Marauder wrestles for POW. He also does UWE. They hit me up a few times before, like, hey, we're going to ride up to Cadillac, Michigan. You want to ride with us? And I said, no, I'm good. And then this time around, I was like, you know what? Sure, I'll do it. I'll do it this time. So we ride together. And, the conversations were up and down. We pull up to a dispensary in Michigan because, oh my God, this is so much cheaper up there. So we go up to this dispensary in Michigan, and they're taking ages. I'm just chilling on the couch. I'm like, oh my God, when are we going to go? Because I think I was on that couch for a good hour. Finally, they leave. We get in the car. I hear Marauder's GPS say, be there at 5:30. Call time is 5. So I kind of sit up. I'm like, whoa, what the hell, guys? And they're like, it's fine. We'll let Eric know. I was like, just let Eric know that we were running late. It's not your fault. All right, cool. Eric Freedom, that is. So told Eric Freedom, and I told him who I was riding with, and he just laughs. He goes, ha. I was like, when he laughed, I was like, oh God. I'm like, okay. so he knows the drill. We have the show, and we were staying the night, so I was like, okay, they wanted to hang out, so I was like, all right, I'm going to go help with teardown. I pretty much helped with teardown. Marauder come in, help with something, then disappears. Spicoli come in, help with something, then disappear. So finally, the ring's torn down, and I was like, okay, ring's torn down, I want to go home, or I want to go to the room, because they had a motel room. And I was like, all right, let's go to the room. I want to get some food in me because I was starving at that point. So I go up, find Spicoli. Spicoli's like, all right, cool. Go find Marauder. Go to find Marauder. We go back. Spicoli's gone. So I go find Spicoli. Marauder's gone. Finally, they're over by Eric Freedom just talking for ages. And it's like 11 at night. And I'm like, guys, I don't mean to be a jerk, but I'm starving. Let's go. So another half hour goes by. Finally get in the car, get to the room, and they're like, hey, we're going to go out again. I'm like, cool, I'm not. I'm staying in this room. Just pick me up some McDonald's. Get a phone call. Hey, bro, McDonald's is closed.
Oh, God.
Everything in Cadillac, Michigan closes at 11. So, and it was like midnight at that point. So I was beyond PO'd. So I just went to a vending machine, got some popcorn and whatever snacks. So they were gone for an hour, another hour. So I'm glad I stayed in the room because again I was wore out, I was exhausted. We drove Cadillac, Michigan from Rockford is 5.5 hours, and yeah. So we were on the road for a while, and then on top of that, the show. And then trying to get to this damn room. So finally, they come back, and they're like, hey, we're going to smoke. You want to smoke with us? No, I'm going to sleep. Crashed in a little corner of the room and fell asleep. Woke up. It's 11, and obviously most hotels, you got to be out of the room by 11. Well, it's 11, 11:15, and we're still not out of this room. And I'm just sitting there goes, well, it's not my credit card. So, so finally, we get in the car. It's noon, and we go to Walmart. And we're running on Walmart for an hour. Again, I'm just losing my mind. I'm like, we don't need to be here this long. And they're like, yeah, we're going to go eat with Eric Freedom and all the other Michigan guys. I'm like, oh, my God. Okay, fine. I had not eaten a proper meal since probably the whole day or two. Because I think I snacked on something on the way there. And that was about it. I haven't had a proper meal. I just had snacks. So then, finally, it's like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. We're finally eating something at a Chinese restaurant, Chinese buffet. And I had a fight with the person I was dating at the time. And him and I broke up. Right then and there. So by the time I sit down... Marauder and Spicoli are looking at me like, you good? I just shoved the plate away from me. I'm like, no, I'm not hungry anymore. And it's funny because those two are like looking at me like I'm the jerk here because like I was bugging them about food because I'm starving, and here I am like, I don't even want to eat because I just broke up with my then boyfriend. So then finally we're leaving, right? It's 2:33 in the afternoon. I'm usually home by then if I stay the night in Michigan. So we stop at the Jim Crow Museum of Racist Memorabilia. And again, we're there for like 45 minutes looking at blackface, like the most racist Asian stuff. Native American, like this is a real thing. It's a real place. I want to say it's in Big Rapids, Michigan. And I'm just in awe because I'm just so done at this point. I'm texting people. I'm like, y'all, I'm trapped. I'm being held hostage here. They won't go home. So finally we get in the car again. So I'm thinking, okay, we're on our way home. They take us back to the dispensary that we started this journey in.
Oh.
And I'm like, and once you know it, another half hour goes by. And finally, by the time we finally got home, it was 8 or 9 at night.
Oh.
And I had another hour drive because I met them in Chicago, and I rode with them to Chicago. Or I rode with them to Cadillac. But like, I finally get in my car, it's funny because it was an hour to get home, but that hour blew by because I was blasting all the music I could think of and just decompressing. And I just got home and went right to bed because I had work the next morning. So I'm just like... So when Marauder texted me the next morning, hey, bro, thanks for riding with us. Hope we can do that again. I said, yeah, sure. Never, no. That's not happening. Unless I'm driving. Then it's then maybe. But yeah, I told that story before. But like... it's just hearing your reaction to it. I could tell it's just too good of a story not to tell. It's a long story, but oh my god, it's worth every step of the mile, literally. Yeah, that's why you find your core people, the people you vibe with travel wise, and stick to them. Yeah, every now and again, ride with somebody different, but like, I wrote those two again. Oh my god.
Oh my god, I was not expecting all of that.
No, yes, it's like a therapy session every time I tell that story. It's just and nobody's ready for the turn, and everybody pops at the Jim Crow Museum of Racist Memorabilia because it's like, you went to where? Like, I took no pictures. I did none of that because like I was terrified that if even the Snapchat location said where I was, that I was going to be canceled then and there. But like reading the plaques on the wall, it kind of goes, this isn't like, obviously it's not to promote racism. It's just a memorabilia thing of like, hey, this is all the messed up things us whiteys used to make. But in that way, sure, it's interesting. But when you're wanting to go home and it's 3 p.m, you haven't ate a proper meal, you don't care to see the Jim Crow Museum of Racist Memorabilia. You care to be on the road going home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's your crazy road story from me.
And crazy to say the least.
Yeah, I would say so.
Alright. Now, obviously we talked about the controversy of the Alundra Blayze figure. But you have a large collection of action figures. I'm not entirely sure where to start, so just tell us about your love of action figures.
I've always loved them since I was a kid. I wondered why do I collect, and I think it just comes down to I had an up and down childhood. There was a lot of crazy stuff, and I had to grow up a lot quicker than any kid should have, unfortunately. So I think I never lost the attachment with the toys, because like they always brought me joy growing up, and they still bring me joy as a grown man. But so it started with the wrestling figures, and then eventually I moved on to not moved on, but I started getting Transformers. I started getting some Batman stuff. I started getting the pop vinyls, of course, because like. It's crazy, there's literally a pop of everything.
Right.
And I want to say there's the one pops I'm looking forward to is I want to say there's going to be some new Soundgarden ones that I have to have. Like, I don't care how broke I am. If I see that in stores, it's mine. But so I started collecting the pops, the wrestling figures. I'm actually looking around as we speak. The Transformers, Star Wars. Like, I absolutely love the Black Series figures. Like, I'm obsessed, just obsessed. But that's pretty much the main things I collect for figure-wise. I got some old video games too. I got some VHS tapes. I used to have a DVD collection, but I've since converted them to digital and sold them at shows just to make room. Because I still got them, but they're digital, which is fine by me. Because half the time, like, as we're progressing into life, things are having less and less CD players, so probably better that way. But yeah, that's pretty much my collection. I got a couple Borderlands figures too, but that's about it. I think just the wrestling figures, the pops, the Transformers, and the Star Wars. That's usually what I'm looking at the toy aisle.
What's your your most cherished or prized figure?
Unicron. It's not the big one. It's not the $3,000 one. It's the one from the Transformers Armada anime that I remember a neighbor kid I knew had it, and it was the coolest toy. And I remember since then, of course, I've watched the original '80s movie, the latest Transformers movie. Unicron was in it, so I was just like, I gotta have a Unicron. I got to. It was like, and I was honestly settling for the Armada figure because like it was like way cheaper. Obviously, would I love to have the $3,000 one? Sure, but I can't because it's $3,000.
Right.
So me and Joey Mayberry were going to. He took me to Quake Collectibles in Chicago, and in the window was Unicron, and I was like, okay, I need that. So I asked him how much is the Unicron in the window, and I pulled him out of the window. He was missing a hand. He was missing parts, so he was incomplete. But I was like, you know what? I'll keep him for now, and then maybe get a better one down the road. And then the guy said, he's missing a ton of stuff, so just $20. Cool.
Wow.
Come home, and I'm kind of like playing with the figure a little bit, and I noticed he had no feet either. But then I realized his feet were folded in. So I undid it, there was his feet. So I was like, oh, okay, well, he has feet, but now he's missing a hand. So I was like, okay. But then again, I was looking at the figure, and I noticed there's a door on his arm. Flipped the door open, there was his hand.
Hey.
So I was like, you know what, this is complete enough for me. He's got all of his limbs, you know. I'll take it. So now he's standing on top of my glass case of the wrestling and the Star Wars figures, just hovering, which, you know, makes sense because he's the Planet Eater. So I'd rather have him like standing up tall somewhere. But that's probably my favorite action figure that I got. Other than that, someone made me a pop vinyl of me at a show. Like that one is probably the close second. And then I think that's about it, honestly. Just those two. Those are the two things I'm going to brag about, is that Unicron and that Greg Murray pop vinyl. Though it says Greg Jones on it, which is my real name. But you know what? Look, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. You just take the gift. Somebody went out of their way to make you as a pop vinyl, okay?
Oh yeah. Is there any action figure you got your eye on that you want to get, haven't been able to get? Maybe the Holy Grail, so to speak.
Right now, I am on the lookout for that Soundgarden set. I hope it wasn't a fake, but when I was looking up Soundgarden news, because they got this album that's been in limbo for a few years that I'm hoping drops soon. But I want to say I just saw because the Pops have there's an album. They do this album background and then the band, and I want to say I saw one of Soundgarden with the Bad Motorfinger album. And that one, if it's real, I definitely want that one. The big Holy Grail one I want, there's two of them. It's that $3,000 Unicron and the self-transforming Optimus Prime. It's a little... I loved the movie Small Soldiers growing up, so the idea of a toy that walks, talks, moves, and is very... it's so cool. There's you download this app on your phone. He does things. You can talk to it, and it talks back, and it's Peter Cullen's voice.
Wow.
But again, it's $800. It's not cheap, but I need it. So when the day comes where I get signed, I definitely those first big purchases are probably going to be toy related. Cars for my parents and self-transforming Optimus Prime, definitely, would probably be the first purchases with that first big check.
Well, at least the Optimus Prime is $800. It's a little bit more obtainable than the other one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alright, and you do talk about action figures in your collection on the Shell Shock Network. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, before I was wrestling, I had a podcast network, and they were wrestling podcasts. Since then, most of them had to get taken down because now that I'm a wrestler, I said things on those podcasts about wrestlers that I would never say now, whether it be just being critical of them, poor taste of jokes. It was one of those years like, as a wrestling fan, and with all the books I've read, the shoot interviews, everything, I'm still a super fan. But for what I thought I knew, when I got into wrestling, I realized I didn't know as much as I thought. So a lot of those things that I've said on those shows, it wouldn't age well. And like my luck, I'm gonna get noticed by a big Fed, and then someone finds an out of context quote from a podcast from like 2019, 2018 of me being critical of what was probably a top guy now by that point. It sucks because like a lot of work and a lot of research went into those shows, but it's just one of those deals where it was just for the best. So pretty much it turned into just pretty much the Plastic People podcast, and it's pretty much just me and my buddy Zach doing that. Plastic People podcast, the Animations Anonymous, the Mark Media. So like, it's become more like outside of wrestling stuff. Every now and again we talk about wrestling. Of course, if I'm getting a wrestling figure, I'm going to be talking about wrestling. I do Twitch streams, which I did that too before I became a wrestler. And and again, getting to play those, it's cool to like be able to play wrestling video games as a wrestler now, and kind of like seeing a move in a video game and like taking a piece of paper and writing it down. So let's see if that's physically possible at practice, or I'll send it to a buddy who I think it would work for, and they're like, "Oh, I'm trying that." I'm like, yes, please, because it's pretty cool. But yeah, so pretty much it's just podcasts. Which the podcast schedule, I'm sure yours is so much better than mine, because like we record maybe 2 episodes of something once every 1 to 2 months. I remember too, like the last time we recorded, I was like, all right, we're going to stay on this. I want to at least get it to where we can put out a show once or twice a month. And that hasn't happened. So it's the issue is schedule. My schedule, I have a day job, I have wrestling, I have to go to the gym. And a lot of times we were recording this stuff on weekends. And guess when shows like to run? Weekends. Right. So, and then, there's weekends where Zach's not feeling it, and there's nothing wrong with that, because, we're all human. So there's some days we don't want to talk about, we don't want to do a podcast. We just want to sit around and play video games together, which we've done that a few times on stream instead. But yeah, go out of your way, definitely check out those shows, the Shell Shock Network. They're on all your favorite listening apps, or just Shell Shock Network, not V. But definitely give it a whirl, and I hope we can put out more, because I love doing the shows. They're fun. And it's just because you could tell, when you listen to me and Zach talk, you could tell we just make each other laugh, and it's just 2 guys hanging out being stupid. And that's my favorite that's my favorite kind of podcast. When you can tell the guys are friends and they're just messing with each other while also talking about a subject that interests you.
Oh yeah. That being said, on the topic of video games, can you tell us about your love of Sly Cooper?
It was one of my first PS2 games. It was, I remember when I was 4 years old watching my babysitter play the game, and I was blown away by it, because it was cool, It's about a raccoon that does heists and fights baddies, and it was very appealing for a kid, and which is, of course, the market was kids at the time. And I remember that was probably the first video game franchise I got into. And I remember when Toonami would air the cheat codes and hyping up the trailers for the games, and just being super excited to play it. And I got to play all of them. And I know there's rumors. I think those rumors have since been pretty much killed off about a new one.
Yeah.
But I absolutely adore it. Every now and again, I go back to play it on stream, like Sly 2. I got to play that back. I never got around to finishing it though. But on this latest playthrough, of course, I've finished the game before. But
Right.
yeah, definitely, I adore that franchise so much. It's with the Ratchet and Clank game being as popular as it was, I really hope that it leads to more. And then, like, the Crash Bandicoot games as a like getting popular again. Like, I would hope that it leads back to Sly again, and at least that gives it a world. Even if it's the last ever game, I probably would be satisfied. And I hope it's a good game because I don't mind Thieves in Time. It's a very controversial game. Some people love it. Some people hate it. I like it, but I could definitely see why people hate it. It's slow. It's when you play that original trilogy, it's like the platforming, the tightrope walking, it's so fluid. And then when you throw in Thieves in Time, there's a second lag, like a second delay. But like it's so minimal, but it's at the same time you notice it. Because if you hardcore play that original trilogy, you know how a Sly game is supposed to feel. It's not supposed to feel that way. It's supposed to be fluent, and it's not. So, but if you can get over that hump, and at the time it came out at a time when I was super nostalgic, and I was like 14, 15. So I loved it when I first played it. Second and third playthrough of it, though, that's when I started seeing the cracks in the armor and such. And then, of course, there was supposed to be a movie, then there was supposed to be a TV show, and then it all fell flat on its face. And that whole Sanzaru acquisition, I think they ended up selling it off, which is probably for the better because they were more focused on Sonic Boom, which whatever. but yeah, that's pretty much my affinity for Sly.
Yeah, we didn't get a new game, didn't get a new a movie or a TV series. We just got like a $500 poster.
Yeah, which I'm not gonna lie, that movie was probably gonna blow. But the idea that as a kid, I would have died for that movie. Like as a kid, like I would have been so obsessed especially if there was a TV show or a movie. But of course, none of it ever came out, which. Yeah. Maybe for the better. I know as of late, video game movies and video game shows are starting to get popular, and there's proof of concept that you can make a very good movie, like the Super Mario Brothers movie, the one that Illumination did.
Right.
But we have to also remember that there's those stinker Silent Hill movies, those stinker Resident Evil movies, which I saw that last one in the theater, me and my buddy, and we kept doing the Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the TV thing anytime we caught a reference. But after that, that's pretty much all that movie was. It says, "Oh, I know that. Oh, I remember playing that. Yeah." And then I own it on Blu-ray. I don't know why, but I bought it on Blu-ray, and I got to watch it again and again. It's not good, but it's at least fun. I think in that original Resident Evil film franchise, I think 1 and 2 are fun, especially the one with Nemesis. Like, that one is just stupid, but it's fun. And then the third movie is just, it's boring. And then the fourth movie is, again, boring. So, it's just, yeah. So, video game films have a stinky reputation.
Yes.
I'm curious about that Borderlands movie because there's big name actors in that. Like Jack Black and Kevin Hart and what's her name? She's in Halloween.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis is in that movie. So I have to see that, because even again, if it blows, that's a pretty cool cast to see on the screen. So and working together. So definitely curious about that film when it comes out.
I'm always skeptical until proven right or wrong. And I've only ever been proven right when it came to the... Well, I've ever been proven wrong, I should say, with the Mario movie.
Yeah. I think a lot of people were proved wrong by that one.
Yeah.
And the Sonic movies were... I know some people are like, but like, for what it originally was supposed to be, not a bad movie. And I think a lot of kids like my nephews love that movie. So
the second one was hilarious, honestly.
yeah, so like right there, Sonic and Mario proved. No, look, you can have pretty good video game movies. Yeah.
Now, and you definitely unlocked some old memories when you mentioned, Toonami cheat codes. That really took me back.
Yeah.
Especially for Sly.
Sly 2, if there was one where like in Sly 2 you could like have a little Tom that would distract guards. Sly 3 you had the biplane, which was probably the coolest part of Sly 3, were those biplane fights.
Yes.
But yeah, Toonami's wild. Definitely loved growing up on that, and it was my introduction to anime, as it was for most people, and my introduction to Transformers.
Oh yeah. Now, when you become a wrestler, you get social media, and then when you get social media, people ask you weird things. Could you tell us about that time you got asked to run for office?
To run for office?
Yes.
I don't remember it, but I don't remember that, but it doesn't shock me that it happened. It probably did happen. No, and I think I definitely told him no, that's not happening. But it gave me an idea for a Moondog 2024 shirt.
Oh yeah.
But that's about it. Like that's as far as I go for office. Oh, I remember now. Okay, it was a text. My Belvedere was looking for people to run for mayor or whatever, the local politics, and I got a text saying, "Are you interested in doing that?" And I said, "No." It took me. I was like, "Run for office." Oh, I remember now. Okay, yeah, it was a text from local politics stuff, which I'm good. I you don't need me running a country. I mean, a couple people have said, "Hey, maybe you should try running a promotion one day," and I'm just like, "Oh, I don't know about that." But yeah, that was weird. That's not the weirdest thing I've been asked on Twitter or DMs or whatever, though. I've been asked for way worse.
Would you like to share?
Genital pictures, that sort of, like soliciting for stuff that you just obviously, because I'm sure that's always worked for people. Right. I'm going to text this wrestler, and I'm going to ask him to send me a very solicited, or not solicited, I forgot the word, explicit photo of them, and expect to get it, and not expect to get blocked for it. Or, they'll send you pictures of themselves where I'm just like, gross. I remember one time, I won't say who I was talking to about it, but I was laughing with them. I said, I mean, I guess this is kind of messed up to feel this way, but at the same time, it's like, sometimes I wonder, like, if it was somebody that was my type, or if it was somebody that was, like, I don't know, gorgeous, if they sent that to me, I can't lie. Like, would I have a conversation with them and get to know them? Or whatever? But, like, that's never the case. It's always somebody I would never be caught dead with. Or just somebody just absolutely, like, no, like, the most degenerate of looking people. And I remember when I was telling this to my friend's like, I mean, you got me there. I mean, because it's never the gorgeous people. It's the ugly ones. Which, again, I feel bad saying that, but it's like, my God,
Oh my God.
Right? Like, come on,
Unfortunately, those people don't need to slide into DMs to get intention.
Right, and I respect the ones who, rather than ask that, they just subscribe to their OnlyFans, because, like, if you want it, pay for it, and I think most of them do. Some of them, I remember one, again, another friend of mine, they started an OnlyFans, they got this message saying, oh, I know what you look like. I know what you look like. Da, da, da. I have the pictures. Blah blah blah. And I remember they thought it was a crazy ex, but I was like rereading it a few times. Like, whoa, wait a minute. They were contradicting themselves. They were contradicting themselves. Like, I don't think they have anything of you. They're just saying that to scare you into sending him stuff. And that when they reread it, they're like, oh yeah. Well, I was like, it's just, there's just vile people out there, unfortunately.
Yes.
But yeah, just.
Let's head to the colossal question. Let's say you're making a movie about you. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first 3 songs on your movie soundtrack?
River of Deceit by Mad Season. Overfloater by Soundgarden. And Young Lust by Pink Floyd.
Wow, you had that ready to go.
I'm obsessed with music, and like the Mad Season one especially, that's like the number one. I don't know why, but I just think of like an emotional scene that leads to the end of the film, and like everything going in slow motion, and you just hear the opening chords to River of Deceit, which is a badass song. It's Mad Season was a super group. It was led by Lane Staley of Alice in Chains. Had Mark Lanigan of Screaming Trees. Couple members of Pearl Jam, I want to say. And then later they would do a reunion with Chris Cornell, the lead singer of Soundgarden, and like that album just rules. It's a really cool tribute album that they did a tribute concert to Mad Season, and they did like a whole orchestra. Like such a cool event. But yeah, that I would say those 3, especially I definitely have. You could probably interchange the last 2, like Overfloater and Young Lust, but I definitely have to have River of Deceit in a movie.
Okay. Now we get the soundtrack down, then you write the script, and then you go to casting. Who plays Moondog? And you can't say yourself because you are obligated to make a Stanley S. camera.
Jack Black. Like everybody says I got that Jack Black energy, or I look like Jack Black. I was like, so it's gotta be Jack Black, right? You can CGI his face and make it look young. Like, yeah, these days.
Alright. Every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be 3 people in your movie that are significant to you in your story, and who would play them?
Oh man, Jennifer Aniston as Shelley. I'm terrible with actor names. God, what's his name? He's in Jurassic World. He's the doctor. I would say him as Mateo. Huh?
Chris Pratt?
Not Chris Pratt. I can't remember his name. He created the Indominus Rex in the movie, but that guy probably is Mateo. And huh?
Jeff Goldblum?
Not Jeff Goldblum. I can look it up actually, but and then funny enough, there's another guy that was in a Jurassic Park film that I think would play Joey. He was in the Page movie. He was one of the trainers. Oh come on, give me the cast. B.D. Wong would be Mateo.
Okay.
And the name is on the tip of my tongue for Joey, but good God if I can remember it. Let's see. Jurassic Park 2 cast. Vince Vaughn would be Joey Mayberry.
Okay.
Yeah. What a cast.
It sounds like a great cast, honestly.
It's very Jurassic Park influenced. It works.
Now, it, like I said, sounds like a great movie, and you could pre-order the tickets now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
On to a controversial subject. pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
I don't eat it. I don't care if you eat it or not, but it's not going on my pizza.
So anti.
Yeah, pretty much. But I'm not like, I don't judge anybody who eats it on their pizza. I'm not one of those people, but like, I'm not eating it.
Okay.
I'm good.
What's your spirit Pokemon?
I look up and I see the fan art someone did of me and Deoxys. It's not Deoxys, though. Probably... I'm going to instantly change this like as soon as we get off, but I'm going to go with Rowlet. Just, I don't know why, I just like him. I like the little owl.
Oh, yeah. Now, we love the late, great Tracy Smothers on the show.
Yeah.
You know the acronym for THUG. THUG.
I don't remember.
T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail. Because a Doug can't spell.
God, Tracy Smothers was so good. Like, anytime I watch any of them, so as after these wrestlers die, you realize, wow, they were really good.
Right.
They did not get their flowers while they were breathing. That sucks. Like, but yeah, Tracy Smothers was great. Yeah, I knew that, but I couldn't remember it, of course.
Right, and that's why we love Tracy. We're trying to keep the memory alive because, you know, like you said, not a guy that necessarily gets his flowers.
Yeah, and I met him at the Nick Gage Invitational one year. This was like, I think, a year before I started wrestling. Me and my buddy Drew went out to see it, and I met him. And the dude, I said, "Hey, how much for?" I forgot. I think how much for a picture. He said, "For a picture, an autograph 8x10, and a T-shirt is $25." I'm like, sold. Of course, you know, like shoot. $25, absolutely. I don't remember. I think his shirt is floating around somewhere in my closet. Like, there's times I'll dig into that closet and I'll find shirts I've forgotten about. I'm like, oh yeah, but I hope I still have it. But I don't remember.
Oh yeah, awesome that you actually got to meet him. Definitely. One guy I wish I met.
Nice guy, super cool. I'm glad I got to meet him. It's again, at the time I don't think I thought much of it. And now looking back, especially now that I'm a wrestler, I'm like, wow, I met Tracy Smothers.
Oh, weirdest question you'll be asked on a wrestling interview, hopefully. Would you ever consider wrestling a Rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual physical Rock.
Sure. I can figure something out. I watched a friend of mine wrestle a chair, so there was a Jamie Race up in Michigan. Mike Idol had to take a few months off, so Jamie Race started coming out with a chair that had Mike Idol's face on it, and he would call it Mike. Well, Mike Idol comes back from a sabbatical, and he's like, well, what the hell is this? It's like, it's Mike. Totally forgetting that who he's talking to is Mike, the real Mike. So Mike Idol just has a feud with a chair, and I'm watching the match. It was sent to me, and he's wrestling this chair, and the crowd is into it. Like, it's one of those deals again. It's like going back to the Joey and Doom thing, where like people like online would probably just crap on it, but like if you were in that building, like if you were just in the building where these events happened, you would be losing your mind because like it's just the electricity. It's like you can't like just sit there and cross your arms going, "That's not my wrestling." Like no, like you'd probably be like, "Oh my god, what is happening?" And "Oh my god, why is everybody losing their mind over it?"
Right.
You know, it's just, I think people forget wrestling is supposed to be fun. Like, yes, it's competitive. Yes, it can, you gotta take it seriously. You gotta take it like a business. But at its core, we're entertaining people. It's supposed to be entertaining. It's supposed to be fun. like, it'd be one thing if he was wrestling a chair and there was crickets.
Right.
At that point, yeah, it would be terrible. It would be the worst thing ever. But again, they were losing their mind over a steel chair and, like, being wrestled. You can't make it up. Only in wrestling can that happen.
Well, just for context, there is this wrestler named Psycho Mike that wrestled an actual rock for over 15 minutes in a Tungsten Man match. That's an Arn Man match that lasted for 2 weeks.
That's awesome.
Yes.
I'll have to look that up.
I will send it to you.
Okay, sounds good.
On a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I hope at least having a tryout somewhere. Like, that's going to be my goal, is just to have a tryout somewhere. Signed? Of course. Like, I'd love to be signed. If I'm not at least getting tryouts, I'd love to be on, like, the bigger feds. Like, I'd love to be a regular in GCW, even if it was only for their Chicago stuff or their Midwest shows. Like, just to be on those, I'd be satisfied. If I'm putting over everybody, absolutely. Again, I'm on the show. And, I got more eyeballs on me than I ever did before if I was on GCW. And that's exactly what happened both Gay Brunch shows. Like, that first Gay Brunch especially, my Twitter blew up. And it was crazy because, like, the reception in that building sucked. So, like, every time my phone would reconnect to some kind of data, constantly. So, like, it's you can say what you want about GCW, but, like, GCW is probably the #1 U.S. indie right now. And, to be a part of that, awesome. I'd love to do it. I'd love to, I view Second Wrestling as a pretty big independent because, like, they bring in names and they bring in the names. Sorry, I got a burp. Sorry. They bring in those names, and then, we get to interact with them. Like, I'm in locker rooms that I wasn't in before. Like, Chris Masters was in my second show. He's in that locker room. I met him at NWA, too. But, I love to wrestle at Hood Slam in California. I love to wrestle at Pandemonium in California. I love California. I hope I could somehow make being if not regular, at least like a 2 to 3 times a year kind of deal. Oh, I'd be so cool with that.
Just sign up for the dojo for New Japan.
New Japan? I think it's a little more than just signing up, though. I think you got like a whole application process and such. And
I mean, I know a couple guys that did it. And they did the application process, and they was in California for a few months wrestling with New Japan. So, shoot your shot, man.
Yeah, maybe not a bad idea, honestly. But yeah, definitely. I hope I'm at least, if I'm not sniffing like tryouts, I'd love to be on like the bigger indies, the bigger indie feds for sure.
And what is a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what you are all about?
Any of my matches with Joey Mayberry for sure. The one match is probably my most infamous one is the 3-way street fight in Rockford when I got the most like grotesque amount of blood. Like that one's probably my most infamous one. I know if you watch it, you could break it down and probably think, I don't know. I wouldn't call it a 5-star classic, obviously not, but just the moment is so wild. And I remember somebody on Facebook was like, "Remember that match just broke Facebook?" Like the entire Chicago scene probably seen that match, and it got back to NWA. I know because when I went to help out the first time, Garrison Crew was like, "So, what happened in Rockford?" It's like, what do you mean? He goes, well, Tom Ladder was on that show. He goes, well, that got back to us because Tom came back and told us about it. I just told him the story of us. Again, and I remember, too, when I ran into Tom, I said, "Oh, don't worry, I won't bleed." He goes, "Oh, Mike, that wasn't your fault. It's it happens." He goes, and then he goes on a rant. Goes, "Why the hell would they put it right before intermission? Like, why would they?" Like he's like breaking down like the whole like booking of it. I was like, I don't understand. He goes, "That wasn't your fault, mate." Tom Latimer was cool. Like, he's a really good guy.
Alright, and that match, is it on YouTube?
The Rockford Street Fight is, yes, for sure. A couple of my matches with Joey are also on YouTube.
I will,
yeah.
I cut you off.
No, go ahead. That's pretty much just trailing off thoughts, pretty much.
I was going to say I'm going to find a match with Joey, and I'll search YouTube for the Rockford match, and I will put them in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. For anybody that hasn't seen them, wants to see them, wants to re-see them after this interview.
Yeah.
Alright, and since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom.
Okay.
This is our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
Sure.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Terry Funk.
Oh yeah. Worst wrestler.
Oh god, I gotta be careful. Probably. Oh god, it's so hard. I guess the Giant Gonzalez. I guess. I mean, he was pretty ass. I'm,
I will accept that answer.
Bless his heart. I heard he was a great guy, a nice guy, but.
Your main event in WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who was your opponent?
I'd love for it to be Effy, but I know that's probably not ever going to happen.
Hey,
Probably Punk. CM Punk, for sure.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
Like a wrestler's music?
Yeah.
Probably Terry Funk's All Japan theme. The
Okay.
It's awesome. I love that song.
Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is
On life support.
we would have also accepted taste grade on toast.
Okay.
Squash. Vegetable or fruit?
Match.
I will accept that answer.
Wrestling match.
New Japan wrestler Tai Chi. His ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
Nothing that Mateo Valentine wears. I heard too, Mateo had like these tights, and like he was mad because like his cheeks weren't showing, but like they look great on him. But like, yeah, like you said, like Tai Chi and Mateo's, I think their trunks get shorter and shorter. I if you want some, bootage or whatever, because like have so like just enough to get attention, but enough to leave something for the imagination, I guess. Like that in between, but like probably your average trunk size is fine.
And that's a great way to word it, for sure.
Yeah.
And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
No, can't say I have.
And that's the correct answer.
I'm waiting for the day someone does. I have to say yes. Yeah.
Well, If you do, record the conversation and send it to me.
Absolutely.
Now, we'll conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Once again, where can we find things, all things Moondog Murray on social media in your most?
Twitter is Moondog Murray, Instagram, Facebook, Moondog Greg Murray. You can find me on YouTube as well. You can find, if you search Moondog Murray, Moondog Greg Murray on YouTube. But I got a Brainbuster Tea store, so definitely buy some shirts, buy some stickers, which I got to order some here soon. But definitely keep supporting that, and check out Shellshock Network on your podcasting apps, Twitch especially, because I'm usually streaming regularly, and I have a lot of fun doing that. So definitely support that as well.
And you don't have to type it into your Google machine. All of the links to all his social media, Twitch, YouTube, merchandise will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. Simply click the link. A new tab will appear on whatever device you are on. You have no excuse. Buy a damn shirt.
Absolutely.
Of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, vote on YouTube and Castbox. This was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Pale Coffee. Thank you for joining us on our 5th anniversary, our 5-year anniversary show. Starting off the year with Moondog Murray. Where it will go from here, we have no idea, but we're sure to make it the biggest and best year possible. And you can follow the show at Wrestling with E, both on X, Instagram, and Thread for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesShe993. Okay, when I say wrestling with, you say entertainment, okay?
Alrighty.
For our very special guest, Moondog Greg Murray, Calico Labs, Good of Dust, I'm James Shea, and this has been Wrestling with
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.